Welcome to my channel Techify with Adil. So in this video we will be learning about considerations for device enrollment. So it's like what are the things we will have to consider when we are doing a device, when we are enrolling the devices. So first preferred method for managing your Windows. If it comes to Windows, the preferred method is the built-in mobile device management feature in the operating system itself to enroll as mobile device with Intune. You must use device enrollment for devices running any operating system rather than Windows, such as those on phones or Macs. There are several different ways to enroll Windows devices to MDM based on the device type and its current state. So it includes if a device is already joined to your on-premises ADDS, you can use group policy to automatically enroll it to the MDM. If it's a domain joined device, in other words, you can configure integration between Microsoft Entra ID and MDM, so that when you join Windows device to Microsoft Entra ID, it automatically enrolls to MDM. That's the second way. Then you can enroll the Windows devices to MDM manually by using the settings app, provisioning packages, or the company portal app. So these are the three different ways you can enroll Windows devices to MDM. So automatic enrollment to MDM works for Windows devices because only Windows devices can be joined to an on-premises ADDS and Microsoft Entra ID, both. Other devices such as Android, iOS can only be enrolled to MDM by using the company portal. So iOS or Android cannot be joined to our on-premises AD. The company portal app isn't included on Android and iOS devices by default. It's available as a free app in the Google Play Store and in the Apple Store. If you want to enroll iOS devices, you must ensure that MDM is configured with a valid Apple push notification certificate. iPhones, iPads, and Mac OS devices require an APN certificate for secure communication with MDM, regardless if MDM is Intune, MDM for Microsoft 365, or third-party MDM product. So you can see here the devices like Windows 10 or 11 Home, Pro, Education, S Mode, and Enterprise versions, 10 and 11 Cloud PCs, that is the W365, 10 IoT and Windows 10 Holographic, Windows 10 2019, Surface Hub, 10 Teams, then Apple iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, Android 8 and later, Linux, Ubuntu Desktop, then Chrome OS. So these are the supported versions we can use for the device enrollment. So defined allowed devices. So by default, all users who are assigned an Intune license, that's a very basic first step. You should have a Intune license for enrolling. So all who are assigned to as an Intune device licenses, Intune licenses are allowed to enroll in their supported device types to Intune. However, you can configure enrollment restrictions that users must meet before they can enroll a device. Enroll restrictions can include the following criteria, like maximum number of devices that a user can enroll. By default, this is set to 5 devices per user. So devices platforms that can be enrolled, requiring operating system version for iOS, Android work profile, and Windows devices, minimum version and also maximum version. So you can set up like it should be as minimum of to this version and maximum of this version, because some latest versions might be a beta version which might have some bugs, so we don't want the user to update it to that version. So we can have the lower and upper limit. Lower limit is to have the outdated to avoid having the devices with outdated versions. Upper is to have a very latest version or a beta version which might have bugs in it. So we can lock with both the ranges, up and down. Restrict enrollment of personally owned devices. You can configure this restriction for iOS, Android work profile, Mac OS, and personally owned devices for Windows 10 and 11. So you'll be seeing a similar screen from your Intune admin center. Like you can have the minimum and a maximum, allow or block. So you can set up that, and you can set the settings as it should be allowed within this range or it should be blocked within this range. Same for iOS, Mac OS, and Windows MDM. So you can manage device enrollment by configuring the following enrollment options. Terms and conditions. So you can require that the users accept the company's terms and conditions before they can use the company portal to enroll the devices, access resources such as company apps and email. Next is enrollment restriction. You can configure device types that can be enrolled, block enrollment of personal devices, and restrict number of devices that each user can enroll. Enable Apple device enrollment. You can enroll whether Apple devices can be enrolled. They can be enrolled only if you added an APN certificate to MDM. Corporate identifiers. You can list international mobile equipment identifiers IMEI numbers and serial numbers to identify company-owned devices. Intune can perform additional management tasks and collect additional information such as full phone number and an inventory of apps from company-owned devices. You can also prevent enrollment of devices that aren't company-owned. That aren't company-owned meaning if it's a personal device. Multi-factor authentication. So when users enroll a device, you can require an additional verification method such as phone, PIN, and biometric data. Device enrollment manager. So device enrollment manager can enroll large number of devices. The restriction on the number of devices that user can enroll doesn't apply to the device enrollment manager. Device enrollment manager can enroll like about 100 devices. So ensure users enroll their devices. So to ensure that users enroll their devices, you can configure a security policy, Microsoft 365 or conditional access policy in Intune to allow the company resources only from enrolled devices. If such policy is in place and a user tries to access company resources such as his or her Exchange online mail or SharePoint somewhere, the user will be denied and redirected to enroll his or her device first. So after the user enrolls the device, he or she will be able to access the mailbox. So users can use their devices for personal work and leisure as soon as they obtain the device. But organizations don't have control over such devices and they can't manage them until the devices are enrolled to MDM solutions such as Intune or MDM for M365. However, because device enrollment is usually a manual process and users often forget to perform it, the most organizations have resorted to making enrollment mandatory. They only allow users to access company resources from enrolled devices that comply the organizational policy. They use compliance policies to define how devices should be configured and conditional access policies for controlling access to organizational resources. If a user tries to access resources from a non-enrolled device, he or she is denied access and asked to enroll the device first. You can configure automatic enrollment to MDM for Windows devices only. If a Windows device is already joined to an on-premises ADDS which is synced to Microsoft Entra ID, which means is a cloud, you can configure the enable automatic MDM and using default Microsoft Entra credentials group policy setting to enroll devices to MDM. So this we have seen as one of the way to enroll the Windows devices. So only Windows has this option of auto enrollment. Other than Windows, the devices has to be manually enrolled by the user. So you can set up this policy of only the enrolled devices can access the company resources. Will make the users to enroll it first before accessing to the company resources.